Now, you did mention before that you had lived previous lives. Now, when I look at previous life phenomenon, a couple of things pop out at me. Now, number one, there is a lot of good evidence to indicate that some people seem to, for whatever reason, have memories of people that have come before them which do not have any rational explanation for them, which gives credence to the idea of a reincarnation of someone who has lived before. There is
Have you ever had a past life regression?
No, but I did have a very interesting experience that I'll relate to you in a moment. That perhaps does relate to that very well. And that brings up this other point that I wanted to make in relation to this idea of past lives. I kind of toy with the notion that there are an infinite number of 3D realities, that the universe is actually endless in that regard, and that every possible manifestation of yourself exists somewhere, someplace, sometime, right now. If you want to use that terminology. So in that event, we're actually living an unlimited number of lives. And in some of those worlds, we're dead in a physical sense.
Right.
In some of those worlds, we're yet to be born. In some of those worlds, we don't exist at all. Obviously, that would stand to reason as well. So when you look at the idea of living other lives, I think you can look at it in that sense as well, that we have merely moved from one, reality into another reality. Mm-hmm. That once we die in one reality of this, universe of infinite universes, mm-hmm. that we actually manifest in another reality that is going on at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that our lives may be completely different, but I'm still the unique individual that I am, even though I may not inhabit the same physical structure.
Well, it's very interesting because on this subject, I'm more linear than you are. And you're the Virgo. You're supposed to be the linear one. So.
I told you, I break some of the bonds on the Virgo thing.
So for my understanding, I have to think of it in linear time that I was back in Greece, I was back in Egypt, and those beings, those personalities, those selves, which are part of my higher self, speak with me, and I see them as me. And I would really, really guess that you were in Egypt too, if that's what your tattoos are and everything,
Yes, and I'll relate to you the experience that I had that leads me to believe that there is a connection between simultaneous realities. Mm-hmm. And this was a very short but amazingly intense experience that I had probably about, I would say, 2 months ago. And it was under the most mundane circumstances. I was at work, and I was doing something, some routine thing that I do every day. I can't remember exactly what it was, but in the midst of performing those actions, I had a very profound, the most profound sensation come over me that felt almost physical, like a weight descending down upon me. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't in any way emanating goodness or badness or anything like that. It was just a thing unto itself. Mm-hmm. And what I experienced for probably about 30 seconds, and that's about as long as it lasted, I would say, and then maybe for about a minute afterwards. For about that 30-second period of time, I experienced 2 simultaneous lives. Wow. And in the one life, I was doing what I was doing in this quote-unquote world that we live in right now. But at the same time, I was living somewhere else where I was going to school. And I remember that I was habitually late for a particular class, and I was, it seemed like it was college to me, which obviously would presumably, I guess, make me younger, but I don't recall feeling different in any sense in that other universe. Although, if I'm truly just the unique me that I am, I don't think that I would feel different. Like if I was a woman or younger or, any other type of person, I just think that I would feel like myself. So I didn't, really try to focus on that to think, am I a woman? Am I a man? You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just that I was feeling like that these were both me. And in this other reality, I had a very clear image of the building where the classes were held, and of the classroom that I was always late for. And I think it was a class that I didn't like, and I felt as though that was actually happening right now. So for that 30-second period where I had that sort of dual life vision. Then for probably about a minute or two afterwards, I actually was confused for a little bit of time there and wondering, where am I supposed to be? Am I actually where I'm supposed? Is this my reality? And so I had a very profound sense of that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up this sort of alternate place of where now is always, where we exist in all these other planes at different times, just to get your take on that, because that was something that was a very profound event for me.
I do have one question before I give you my take. Sure. Did you get any sense of the time period? Was it right now modern, or
yeah,
what?
It seemed to be modern. The only thing I could say is that there was nothing about it that would place it beyond maybe, let's say within like plus or minus maybe 20 years.
And you are older than 20, obviously, right?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Yeah, it seemed like it was contemporary.
The only research that I've done that would answer that question comes from the Buddhist school of a soul can inhabit more than one body at once, such as there was a holy person that reincarnated inside 3 different children, as shown in the movie Little Buddha. So therefore your soul may be bigger than Ted ego and be having more experiences in other bodies at this time.
So I may actually be existing right here on Earth somewhere else in another body as part of my soul being invested in another person as well, is what you're saying?
Indeed, in another human animal form. Yes, because they are merely vessels, and you are the light.
That and I can't refute that. That could certainly be a very accurate interpretation of what occurred. I can't say that it was.
I have no idea. That's just all I've heard.
Yeah, and I certainly don't have any proof that it's anything other than that. And I all I can tell you is that it was a very real phenomenon, and that it actually did happen to me.
And it's the same way I feel when the Egyptian lady comes to me. So that's why I was like, can we date this? Is there a time period here? But understand the Egyptian lady is part of my soul. And so it's the same thing. And of course, there is no real time. Time is something that we agree upon.
Right. I kind of take the Buddhist view that we live in the eternal now. Although we do experience the passage of time because it is something that's imposed upon us.
And it's a wonderful gift.
Well, indeed, because it allows us to advance. Otherwise...
That's also separation is a wonderful gift in that sense. Because, honestly, I think we have some of the best art on Earth because we have some of the most horrible things happen here.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to the idea of negativity and wounds and things of this nature being things that shape us and mold us and make